All right, I got a good one for you guys today, especially those of you who are just learning and just cutting your teeth on this stuff. I want to talk about anti-seize. Okay, you know, you would think that if I was going to do a video about anti-seize, I would go to the store and buy like a nice fresh bottle so it would like make a professional appearance. But no, I dug this out of the bottom of my toolbox. It'll do the job, and it's eternal. It never ever goes bad. So what happened was last night I was doing our Wednesday night show with Dr. Art, and one of the viewers asked if I used anti-seize on spark plugs, what I thought of it. And I was like, how have I never done a video on anti-seize? So, okay, here goes. So I'm gonna get to the spark plug. Actually, what we'll do is we'll read from the bottle and all of its various applications. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about how this stuff is supposed to be applied, because that's really important. If you're not careful applying this stuff, it can become a nightmare. If you've never dealt with anti-seize before, it's the craziest stuff. It gets all over everything. It makes a real mess of stuff. If you're not careful, you look like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. So we'll talk about not only when you use it, but how you apply it. All right. So everybody knows about Loctite thread lockers. You know, that's what you use when you don't want something to come apart. And anti-seize is the exact opposite. It's what you use when you want stuff to come apart. So typically think of it this way. Have you ever been taking something apart, right? Pulling a cylinder head or just disassembling a component, okay? And you'll get a couple of bolts that don't want to turn out. Like you break them with the wrench, and like you should be able to just unscrew them by finger, but you still have to fight them all the way through. And then when you take the bolt out, you'll see that it's like rusty and corroded. That's where you want to use anti-seize. All right. So what I'll do is I'll read from the bottle, I'll go over its bullet points, and we'll talk about each of the bullet points and how it gets used, or why you would use it in that application. All right, so I can barely read this. This bottle's a real mess. Okay, anti-seize lubricant, Permatex. Now I'm not getting paid for this. Permatex anti-seize lubricant. Clearly I'm not getting paid for it. Look at the old bottle that I'm using, right? Prevents seizing, galling, and corrosion of metal parts in temperatures of minus 65 degrees Fahrenheit to plus 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Assures easier disassembly of parts even after exposure to extreme temperatures and corrosive conditions. I got through that okay? All right. Use Permatex anti-seize. So to prevent galling and seizing of. So like I says, we'll go through step by step, right? Brake anchor pins. All right, so now right off the bat, they're not talking about the anchor pins that you find on a drum brake assembly. You know, that hold the shoe to the backing plate with the spring. Not those anchor pins. They're talking about the anchor pins that you find on disc brakes. You know, that slide into the caliper and you tighten them down. You'll notice that a lot of times they don't want to work their way loose, or in a worst case scenario, you turn them out and the threads come out with it. Now, this is especially common in like the Northeast or places where they use a lot of salt on the road. Because as this thing is going down the road, you've got the heat from the brakes, you've got the salt, the moisture in the air, moisture from puddles or whatnot. It all gets in there and it migrates around. So the anti-seize will prevent that from happening, right? Won't let that salt water or any of the corrosive elements that you find on the road sneak their way into the threads. So that's one of the important place you might want to use this stuff. Engine head bolts. All right. Now, you're not going to use it on all head bolts. You'll see that head bolts that go into a blind hole, meaning that the hole is not open to the water jacket. You'll never find corrosion on a head bolt like that. It's sealed from the bottom and then it's sealed from the top, from the head. But on open holes where the end of the bolt is actually in a water jacket, that's where you use this stuff. And it's not just head bolts. Any bolt that goes, let's say, a bird, any bolt that goes into a water jacket of any sort is subject to that type of corrosion, because that water, the antifreeze, especially as antifreeze breaks down, because it starts to become acidic, it'll get wicked up into the threads, and it'll cause corrosion. So you have to, you got to, it's a judgment call. Not necessarily to use on all head bolts, and a lot of head bolts where even if they are open, are in such a location that they're always flushed with fresh antifreeze, where others are in more obscure locations and they're exposed to things like steam pockets, like head bolts that are off in the corner, right? They're in all different locations. But if you're taking your cylinder head off, you pull the head bolts off, and you got a couple of them that, after you've broken them, you can't unscrew them by hand, or they fight you all the way out, that's where you would use Anti-Sieze. And again, like I said, it's not just head bolts. It's any bolt that, water pump bolts, anything like that that's exposed to a water jacket, and especially ones that fight you coming, when you're taking it apart. All right, spark plug threads. Now this is the question that the guy asked on the live last night, and this is where I used to go through tons of this stuff back in my nitro days. Because what we would do is, for the run plugs, so you have warm-up plugs, and then you have run plugs. So when you're setting up the spark plugs, your run plugs, there are two steps before you go and put them in the engine. The first is you set the gap, and then Anti-Sieze. So let's talk about that now, because the application of this stuff on a spark plug, very important how you do this. Antifreeze is metallic based. It will conduct electricity. So any Anti-Sieze that gets down into the business end of the spark plug will cause the spark to jump around and do erratic things. So you don't ever want to have this stuff. You don't want to put enough of it on there for it to migrate down into, I guess, as the business area of the spark plug. What you do when you put it on a plug, all right, this is so messy. All right, I probably should have got a new one, because it's a mess. So all you want to do with this stuff, okay, is look directly in line with the ground strap and about a thread or two up from the bottom, because the bottom thread or so is going to be exposed to the combustion chamber. All you want to do is just put a little dab like that. Okay, that's all you want to have on there. Any more than that, and there'll be excess, and it's going to bleed down into the combustion chamber. As you screw this into the engine, it'll just get wrapped around the threads. Now, that's on a nitro car. That's how I used to use this stuff all the time. But on a regular car, it's really important where you've got an aluminum head, right? A regular metal spark plug or a steel spark plug and an aluminum head, because you've got electrolysis happens in there. Okay, so you've got the two dissimilar metals, the steel and the aluminum, and then you've got the moisture, the condensation from a molecular level that wicks its way up the threads over time. Okay, that will cause an electrolysis situation. Remember, the spark plug is grounded through the threads. So the steel head, or I should say the steel spark plug in an aluminum head, with that electrolysis happening, it's very possible that when you go to take this plug out, it's actually welded into the aluminum head. The Anti-Sieze will stop that from happening. All right, let's continue down the list, shall we? Okay, exhaust manifold studs. All right, now exhaust bolts that are closed, right, you generally won't need Anti-Sieze, because what happens is during those heating and cooling cycles that the fastener goes through when it's screwed into an exhaust, either into the cylinder head or in the exhaust manifold, the heating and cooling cycles, constant expansion and contraction, along with the condensation that's going to enter from an open hole, will cause it to corrode together. So you'll notice that when you take an exhaust bolt, let's say unscrewing an exhaust manifold bolt, and it's in a blind hole, it'll just come right out. But if it's open to either a water jacket or, okay, the example that comes to my mind right away, and there's a lot of different versions of this, but the FE Ford is a perfect example, where the bolts that hold the exhaust manifold to the cylinder head are open on the end. Right? So in other words, like if you were to look at the end of the bolt hole, you would see the actual end of the bolt. right? That's open. And so as it's going through its heating and cooling cycles, it's drawing moisture like on a molecular level in there, and it'll rust together. And any of you guys who've ever worked with those things know, you go half a turn and the bolt breaks off because it's corroded in place. So that's where you want to use the anti-seize on that. Okay. What else is here? U-bolts and spring bolts. I've never used it on U-bolts or spring bolts. So if you deal with U-bolts and spring bolts, you may want to do a little more research, because I can't ever recall using it in any of those applications. All right, all working parts on brake assemblies. So the sliders, let's say on a caliper, or let's say the pads that on a drum brake, the flat pads that the shoes ride against, right? Where you need some kind of lubricant. I generally use white lube for that, but you need some kind of lubricant so that when you step on the brake, they're not always squeaking and squealing. You would use anti-seize for that. Also on star wheels, right? Just a little bit. So that's the thing about using anti-seize, right? And like I said, if you're not careful with it, it gets all over everything. It makes a mess. And if you're not, forget about on yourself, if you're not careful where you're using it on the car or on the brakes or whatever you're working on, if there's excess, it will migrate and it'll start to gum up other works. You know what I mean? It'll spread itself around. It's really not good. And too much of an application, it starts to become, it galls up. It gets like a gel, right? You need to be just the right amount. And like I showed you on the spark plug. So if this was a bolt that we were going to put anti-seize on, all we're going to do is just, I really should have bought a new one. I'm so delinquent here. I'm cheap. Okay. That's plenty. That's plenty right there. Actually, you want to go a little bit further down. Okay. And as you screw this thing in, that anti-seize is just going to flow through the threads and give yourself a nice coating. Keep it from corroding in place. Now, here's a myth. Here's a myth. When you use anti-seize on something like a head bolt or any fastener that requires torque, right? The myth is that you have to increase the torque of the fastener. So let's say it's supposed to get the torque to 50 foot-pounds. You're supposed to torque it, let's say, to 60 foot-pounds because you used anti-seize. And that's a myth, okay? Anti-seize is no more of a lubricant than a light oil, right? Now, let's talk about that for a second too, because a lot of places you say, well, why wouldn't I just use WD-40 or 3-in-1 oil or PB Blaster, some sort of light oil for that lubricant, sealer. And that's because when those lubricants are heated, they disappear. They're gone with the wind. Those are good cold lubricants. They won't stick around for many, many cycles, many heating and cooling cycles. And heat, real heat, 500, 800, 1,000 degrees, they just disappear. Whereas the anti-seize, stays in place. So adding anti-seize to a fastener does not mean that you need to increase the torque. It is no more lubrication than the light oil you would normally use when assembling an engine or head bolts or anything like that. The torque value comes from the amount of stretch the bolt sees, not how much friction there is on the threads. It's when you torque something together, it's the compression values of the items being torqued, so the cylinder head gasket, how much those things are going to compress, and the stretch of the bolt, how much pull the shank of the bolt is going to have as a spring holding those things together. So adding anti-seize to a fastener does not mean you add extra torque when you're putting it together. All right, so I think I covered the world of anti-seize. I talked about anti-seize for over 14 minutes. There's something wrong with me. But you got any questions, throw them in the comments, and I think that's it. And beware, this stuff gets everywhere, and just when you think you've cleaned it all, enough of it off, boom, there's some more of it. I hope you got something out of that. I'll see you tomorrow.